It's time. Time to get inspired and empowered. To realize it's never too late to create your next amazing story. Get ready to break through, transform, and start living the life of your dreams. So, are you ready? Truly ready to begin your journey to create your next amazing story in life and love? Great. Let's jump in with your host, Life and Love Transformational Coach, Suzanne Oshima.
Welcome, everybody, to the It's Never Too Late show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a Life and Love Transformational Coach at Your Next Amazing Story. We have one of my favorite guests today, PJ Dixon, and he's a professional speaker and transformational coach. And today we're talking about it's never too late to transform midlife into your best life. So welcome, PJ. I'm so excited to have you here.
Woo! I'm super glad to be here. I love you so much. I always want to squeeze you every time I see you. So it's such an honor for me to be here with you and the ladies that you serve.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I'm excited to talk about this topic about transforming midlife into your best life. But before we jump into it, I would love for you to tell the ladies a little bit about you, how you became a professional speaker and transformational coach, because I know your story, and it hasn't been an easy road for you.
Well, it's fascinating, right? Because I started speaking at 7. I have a very rare form of muscular dystrophy that was expected to take my life by 7. They didn't diagnose it until I was, I don't know if I was 3 or 4 or 5. I can never remember the exact age. And, they diagnosed with a number of different things wrong. And at 7 years old, the Muscular Dystrophy Association found me. And apparently I was a cute little kid. And I had a bit of charisma, and they said, "Hey, would you be interested in, coming out and telling your story?" And so at 7 years old, I literally started speaking, and I was speaking sometimes 2 and 3 times a month. And I, became the local poster child, and then the regional poster child, and then the state poster child, and then regional, and they wanted me to go for national. And I was like, I'm a kid, man. Like, just too much for me. So I kept speaking. So I've been speaking since I was 7 years old, 43 years. It's been amazing. And so, but as I moved along, what I found was throughout my life, people have always just come to me. Even when I was a kid, adults would come to me and start to talk to me about what was going on in their life. And it was fascinating because, like, my mom for 29 years of my life or something like that was an art therapist. And so I grew up reading Psychology Today and having these conversations about emotions and psychology and the mind. And my mom always pushed me and said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, borrowing Henry Ford's quote. So that's the way I was raised. So I've been raised with this mindset. Excuse me. And then so in October of 1997, I moved out to Tucson, Arizona from Ohio. And I had this epiphany. I had this vision. I don't know what you would call it. I had this experience that as I was praying one night, and I said, "Okay, God, I'm in Tucson because I believe I'm supposed to be here." I came to study with a spiritual teacher, and I was sitting in prayer. And I said, "I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be. Tell me what you want me to do with my life." And the true story is a pillar of golden light came through the ceiling, entered my body through my head, filled me up with light and love. And I heard one word, love. And in that moment, I knew, I was like, okay, all I have to do is love people. And whatever I do will be okay. And I thought, well, that's easy because I've been doing that most of my life anyway. And that's part of my natural character. So I thought, God's not asking too much of me. That's easy. And then what happened, that was October of 97. About January of 98, I started having these visions that I was going to be hit at a bus stop. Because with my disability, I don't have the physical strength to drive a car. And so I was sitting in a bus stop, and I would literally have these epiphanies, these visions, these feelings, these sensations that I was going to be hit by a vehicle at a bus stop. And so I would sit like 45 feet in front of the bus stop in case the car jumped the curb, and I was like, "Ooh, missed me, sucker." You know what I mean? I'd sit like 45 feet after the bus stop to say, okay, now I can see the bus coming, and they can, if I walk towards it, they'll see that I'm walking towards it, so they'll wait for me to get there. I would sit behind the bus stop that was metal, because I thought, well, if a car hits that, maybe it's pretty secure and it's like going to really slow down the vehicle. I'd sit behind the concrete trash can because I thought, well, maybe this will protect me. So I was trying all this stuff out, right? As a martial artist, like I'm always thinking about how to keep myself and other people safe. And so one day a friend of mine drops me off and I'm walking to martial arts class and it's about a mile walk. And she's like, it's a mile walk. I'll just drive you. I'm like, it'd be good for me. You go home to your kids, have a great night. I'm just going to walk. It'll be fun. So I'm pushing like a mile. I'm literally 2 blocks from my martial arts class. I walk right by a bus stop towards oncoming traffic. I see this black SUV on my left side coming out of a Boston market. And I look at it and I look at the oncoming traffic and I say, there's no way this thing's going to come out into the traffic. I walk out in front of him and he guns it. He steps on the gas and he hits me on my left side, tosses me out into 3 lanes of oncoming traffic, right? I land and I tuck and roll. But before I tuck and roll, as I'm in the air, I hear my wheelchair crumpling underneath the SUV. And as I'm in midair, I have time to say, God, whatever you do, please don't let him roll over my pelvis. And I rolled as best as I could with the curvature of my spine in the middle of 3 lanes of oncoming traffic. Not a single car hit me. Not a single car hit another car. Excuse me. And his front driver's side wheel came to rest leaning against my pelvis. So had he rolled 2 more inches, he would have crushed my pelvis. There happened to be an EMT team inside of the Boston market at that time who came rushing out, took care of me, took me across the street to the hospital. I wasn't meant to die that day, right? I was in excruciating pain, though, for the next 4 months, and the physical therapist couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And this is where I get to the crux of my teaching point. So stay with me for just another minute or so. I get to the physical therapist. For 4 months, I go through this excruciating pain. I can't sit down in my wheelchair. Obviously, I can't stand up anyway. I can't sit down. I can't lay down. I can't sit in the bathtub to shower. I can't sit on the toilet. I mean, I'm doing these things, but I can't do them without pain. I can't feed myself without pain. I can't push my wheelchair without pain. I can't lean back in my wheelchair without pain. It's like excruciating pain in my hips. 4 months, all kinds of tests, all kinds of effort, all kinds of research, and they can't figure out what's wrong. The very last day that I'm there, my physical therapist says, PJ, I don't know what's wrong. He said, I've checked all of my old manuals from school. I've looked at industry magazine or industry texts. I've talked to my teachers. I've talked to mentors. He said, no, none of us can figure out what's wrong. We've tried everything. He said, I did talk to one of my mentors the other day. And he said, he asked me if I palpated your pubic bone, meaning pushed down on the pubic bone to see if maybe your hip had gotten popped out of place when you landed on the concrete. And he said, it's going to hurt. Is this okay if we do it? And I said, bro, you couldn't hurt me worse than I'm already hurting right now. So I laid on that, in like a clinic or a physical therapy lab or a room where the bed is like waist high for a person standing up. So I lay down on that and he pushes down through my pubic line and pushes back into the pubic bone. It actually didn't really hurt that bad. I'm a pretty thin little guy, so it didn't really hurt that bad. And he's like, that's what it is. And I was like, what? And he said, your right pubic bone is popped out of place. He said, lay on your right side. I don't know which side I laid on. I think I laid on my left side, right? Because, I laid on my left side because my right pubic bone was popped out. And he said, this is going to hurt. My mom actually had come to stay with me for a while. And so she was there that day. And he said, hold on to him because, one, I don't want to push him off the bed, but also it's going to hurt. And this is what I want people to know, that when we're talking about transformation, sometimes it hurts, right? Transformation is not always easy, and transformation sometimes can hurt. But the moment he grabbed my hip, he goes, 1, 2, pop. Wow! Oh my God! It hurt. In that moment, it hurt so bad. But the second after, as soon as I went through the pain, as soon as I said yes, and I stepped into the pain, and as soon as I stepped into what I was afraid of, all the pain went away. Instantly, there was no pain. And I was flooded with appreciation. I was flooded with gratitude. I was almost in tears. I probably was in tears. And in that moment, I had a sense of gratitude and appreciation for my life that I had never had before. Even with my own disability, I had taken for granted what I had. I'd taken for granted the physical strength that I had. I'd taken for granted that I lived a life without pain, right? Despite the fact that I had, a disability and all of this, I still, just like the regular able-bodied person, took for granted everything that I had. But in that moment when I said yes to the pain, because I was already in pain and wasn't probably going to put me in worse pain, let's see what's on the other side of this. Let's give it a shot. Boom, I was filled with this gratitude and this appreciation for my life. And in that moment, when I was filled with gratitude, it flooded. I realized that gratitude, when you're so filled with gratitude, it pours out and it becomes love. And I realized in that moment, that beam of light, that pillar of light, that gold light that came into me, wasn't saying, PJ, love other people. It was saying, PJ, learn to love yourself so that you can teach other people how to love themselves. And the truth is, that's where my transformation teaching really started to occur. Because when I started to learn to love myself is when I started to be able to teach other people to do the same.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
That's that part of the story about your pubic bone being out of place. You've never told me that part of the story.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. And look, you're back and you're amazing. You're helping other people. And I love that because you really followed what came through to you and you listened to your intuition and you're going with it. And I think you're amazing in transforming not only your own life, but other people's lives.
I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, you have. But you're also helping other people and they're very fortunate too. So let's talk about this because I think that, when we hear the word transformation, I think a lot of people don't know what transformation is. Like there's a huge difference, and you've talked about this before, is the difference between change and transformation. So what is the difference? Because I want women to understand this.
Change is inevitable. Transformation is a choice. Let's start there.
Okay.
You are going to change whether you like it or not, right? If we're midlife to the best life, we're sort of in that in-between stage that Suzanne talks about like, I'm not young anymore, but I'm not old. I'm sort of in this limbo. And I'm 50. I don't want somebody to call me midlife. And I don't want my friends that are like, oh, I got so old. You're getting old, bro, not me, right? I don't want to live that way. I want to live light and young and vibrant and energetic and still having fun. And so change is inevitable. My body is going to change. In March of last year, 2090, wow, that's amazing. 2019, right? I got some kind of virus in March, lost 85% of my physical strength. I'm having to learn, I'm having to hire somebody to come in to take care of me more, personal assistance more. I've had to learn how to live in my own body because the curvature of my spine is more severe. I don't have the physical strength or the energy to push my wheelchair, but I'm not willing to get an electric wheelchair. And so this change happened to me. Change happens to us, whether we like it or not. We're going to change every moment, every day. If I have to go to the bathroom, that changes what I'm doing and where I am and how I feel about myself. If I go to the bathroom, all of a sudden I change and I feel better, right? If I'm hungry, I eat. Aging process right now until we learn how to reverse it, which we're very close. The aging process is going to happen whether we like it or not. Change is inevitable, but transformation is a choice. Transformation is something that comes from the inside out. Transformation is something that allows us to get bigger and more bold and more daring. But more importantly, transformation is the evolution, the conscious evolution of self, the conscious evolution of your soul, the conscious expression of that which is the depth of who you are, the divine part of you. Transformation is choice, right? When I see something that I want and I go, how can I do that? Whether it was wheelchair sports, jumping out of planes, indoor skydiving, martial arts, I go, how can I make that happen? I transform whatever it is that I'm seeing other people do to fit my needs. So if you decide that you want to go out and learn to dance and you've never danced before and you want to learn ballroom dancing, that you have to transform your body into a dancer. And you have to transform your mindset into being a dancer. And you have to transform the expression of emotions into being a dancer. All of this is choice. All of this is the evolution. All of this makes you bigger and better. Change often decays and degrades and takes away from, not always, but often, Transformation usually nurtures and fills you up and evolves you and makes you bigger, and it's expansive and it's growing and it's giving and it's sharing and it's expressing. That's the juicy deliciousness. That's the difference.
So, PJ, I want to ask you, because what I've noticed is sometimes being in midlife, I hate that word, but we're going to call it what it is, right? Is sometimes when I'm about to, or I even notice with my clients, when they're about to step into something bigger that they truly want, what you call the transformation, right? Is, this sense of fear can wash over you and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. And the immediate reaction is you want to pull back because of the fear. So how can a woman overcome those fears and still step into the transformational process?
I want to answer it with two different things. Okay, first, let's look at this idea and understanding that there's a difference between the conscious and the unconscious mind. Okay, the conscious mind sees what you want. The conscious mind is still like, hey, let's go and do this. Let's expand here. Let's evolve here. And the unconscious goes, eek, I don't know. Don't forget, we're midlife and we're not as strong or flexible as we used to be. You don't see as well. Are you sure you want to do that by yourself? What are they going to say? You're not as young as you used to be. That's old people stuff. Like, you're stuck, right? Like, the unconscious mind does all this stuff to try to protect you. And really what it's doing, it's designed to protect us from like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, back in the savannah when we were cavemen and cave women. But no longer is it valuable in that particular regard. Now what it does is just throws up obstacles and makes us afraid of expanding and moving into our life. So what I suggest is there's 5 steps to a successful transformation. Step number 1 is taking responsibility. Step number 2 is releasing resistance, which is that psychology of I can't. And step number 3 is embracing possibility. So what is the difference between releasing resistance and embracing possibility? It's this idea of stepping back. So releasing resistance means I'm trying to move forward. I'm doing the things that I want to do, but I'm starting to get a little bit afraid. So I start to experience this resistance pushing against me as I'm moving forward, or hooking onto the back of me and dragging me down and slowing me down from moving forward. So there's either resistance in front of me or resistance pulling me back instead of allowing me to go forward, or pulling me down instead of allowing me to go up. However, your body and your mind processes that visually. Please excuse me. And so what I suggest is that if we're moving forward and we feel this resistance, it's a little like a bear hug. So remember that I teach martial arts. And think about someone who comes up and hugs you from behind and they wrap their arms around your upper arms and they lock their wrists together in front of you. You're squeezed. Your arms are stuck up against your body. You can't move forward. You can't move backwards. You can't go up, right? And you never think about going down just because that's not what we do as human beings mostly. And so I'm stuck. I can't move. That's the problem. That's where the fear starts to come. Well, the what if this happens? Well, then this could happen, and then this could happen. Then I could be stuck and all these problems. So the unconscious mind is processing the problems. You, as the conscious mind, I make a very clear distinction between you, the conscious you, and it, the unconscious. And I often say, shh, it, because that's all it ever gives us, right? Because it often will talk to us and just give us the shh, it, right? And so what I suggest is to step back from the pressure for a moment and give yourself space. So if somebody's bear hugging you, for example, I teach in martial arts, you arch your back, you push the back of your head into their face, you arch your back, you lift your elbows and you bend your knees, you basically leap towards the ground, not to the ground, but towards the ground. And all of a sudden you have space. When you have space, you have flexibility. When you have flexibility, you have movement. When you have movement, right, all of a sudden you have choices and you have options. You're free again. This is when you can embrace the possibility. This is when the juicy deliciousness comes. So the problem is the fear is I'm in resistance, and I'm not in resistance. I'm stuck in resistance because what's resisting me is that it is resisting me. It being the unconscious mind that says, what about this? We should be afraid of that. What if this happens? And I'm like, no, I don't care. This is how I want to live. It's a conscious choice for me to keep going. But that's the masculine side of me, right? The more feminine side would say, okay, well, let's step back from the pressure for a moment. Let's take a breath. Let's reconnect with ourselves. Let's realign with ourselves, our own heart, our own mind, our own body, our own soul. Let's just reconnect. So now we have space. Let's come into that stillness or that alignment, or even come into your power, whatever that looks like. For some people, that's going for a jog and feeling like, okay, I've got my physical strength back. Some people, it's aligning spiritually, meditation or prayer. Some people, it's journaling and getting out all the fears and the worries. Some people, it's like anchoring through like a neuro-linguistic programming technique that like empowers them and makes them go, okay, I'm in my power again. I'm going forward, right? But the thing is that it's about choice. And so when fear arises, we start to believe it. When we believe it, we get suckered. And so that starts to slow us down, because that's the unconscious mind's job, is to slow you down or stop you or keep you away from the things that could cause you harm. All its job is to do is to keep you alive. But the problem is, it's not allowing you to live. The conscious mind allows you to live. So step back from that fear for a moment, assess it, analyze it, give it its attention it's due, meaning allow the unconscious mind to express to you, here are my concerns, and allow the conscious mind to then simply say, okay, here are my responses to that. Here's how I'll handle that. Here's what we will worry about or do if that happens. Then we'll handle that. But for now, the truth is I, the conscious me, the one that gets to make the decisions, wants to do this anyway. So we're going to go forward. And I have to do this every day because of my physical restrictions. And everybody does this every day with the fear. It's okay. Step back, take a breath, assess and analyze, and then ask your conscious self, the conscious self, not it, the conscious self, what do I want to do anyway? Move forward, evolve, grow, expand, express, transform.
I just love that you differentiated between the conscious and the unconscious mind, because I think a lot of people just put it all as one. It's our mind, right? And they don't understand why they are stuck or why they can't move forward, and they feel quote unquote paralyzed, right? And they're like, oh God, I don't know what to do. And sometimes I find as I've gotten older, is sometimes it's harder to push through that. Like when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would do things fearlessly, like, oh, who cares? What's the worst that could happen? And now as I get older, I should say, I start to think, oh, well, this, like you talked about, this could happen, but now what I do in helping myself push through that fear and stepping into what I truly want, because I still truly want it, that doesn't go away, is what I realize is instead of looking at 10 steps ahead, which is scary, right, is I focus on that one step. And then I take baby steps and I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. Okay, I got this. And then I keep going. But I find that when I focus 10 steps ahead, that's where I get stuck and I have a hard time moving forward.
Yeah, and I love that you bring it back to the present, right? Coming back to, okay, one step. One focus, one intention. Let me pour my energy into that, because then the unconscious mind goes, okay, we could do this. We can do this. Now I'm with you. Now I'm your partner, right? I'm not at fear factor, but I'll say, hey, watch out for that. Be aware. So now what you're doing is you're actually giving a voice to the unconscious mind. And that's beautiful and super important. The other thing that's really important to recognize is so many times nowadays we hear people saying, oh, well, that's your story. Oh, you're stuck in story. And it grates on me a little when I hear people say, well, that's your story. Hold on a second. You're blaming me for my unconscious mind's action. That's not my story as the conscious me. That's my unconscious mind story. I may not know how as the conscious mind. First of all, I may not know that that's my unconscious mind story and not my story, because I might have been suckered into believing it. Secondly, even if I do understand, I may not know how to differentiate between like what I want in a story, because I've come to believe so much of the story. So it's really important that if you, meaning your audience or me or any of us, if we feel like we're caught in our old story, we get to go, okay, hold on. Let's back up for a minute. That release the resistance, step back. Am I actually in my story, or is this a story I'm being told? Oh, hold on. This is a story I'm being told. I, being the conscious me, is being told a story by it, the unconscious. Okay, now I get to believe it or not believe it. I get to live with it or I get to modify it, right? And so I don't have to believe the story, and I can always modify and change the story, but not until I'm aware of it. And that's exactly what you're talking about pulling back and focusing on the one thing. And then once that's done, you can go to the next thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
also there's that transformation. Like I can't jump out of a plane by myself. I can't indoor skydive without some kind of support, right? I don't push my wheelchair very much anymore because of that. So there's always a way to adapt. So that going back to that one step that you're talking about, you get to say, okay, I want to do this, but there's a little bit of fear, and here are the reasons why. Are there ways that I can transform or adapt the way this happens or the way I experience this? I just strap a big dude to my back and jump out of a plane. You know what I mean? Or I go into the indoor air tunnel, for indoor skydiving with two people instead of one. I make adjustments. And now because I can't, excuse me, because my lung capacity is down to 47% since I got sick, or at least that's the last test that I had. I still want to jump and do indoor skydiving because I know that the first time I went in, I almost suffocated in there. That I'm not sure that I have the lung capacity to be able to deal with it. So now I'm like, okay, well, I need to do indoor skydiving again. What's my option? And I go, oh, I'll just get a helmet with a face shield, which is what all the guys, that are professionals have anyway. So I'll just get a face shield, So, okay, cool, done. Now I can jump again.
So here's something really interesting that I noticed about that story that you just told is, I think we're all strong, independent people, and we don't want to ask for help. And I think that's one of the keys for you because I know there's a pride factor as, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to seem weak. I don't want to feel like I need help. But no one operates like an island. You don't, I don't care how strong we are. We don't, and we can't. We need community, we need other people, and we get to ask for help when we need it. But people can't help us if we don't ask, right?
Yes, 100%. And that's the masculine side of us. That masculine side of us says, no, I can do it myself. And I'm the worst because not only am I male, so I've got stupid, dumb male pride. Number two, I'm a little dude in a wheelchair that doesn't have much strength. So now I have little man syndrome, which I don't really, but like, let's play it up, right? Like now I've got little man syndrome and I'm a little dude in a wheelchair that needs to prove that I'm actually a man. So all of this keeps on top. And that's just the stupid, dumb masculinity side. That's the dumb side of masculinity. But the beautiful side of the femininity is the grace of receiving, right? The grace of saying, would you help me? And for me, instead of feeling that sense of resistance, and I've had to learn to ask for help. I've literally, since 8th grade, when I first went into a wheelchair, my mom has been saying to me, ask for help when you need it. I don't need help. I can do it myself, right? I can figure it out myself. Okay, like year after year after year after year. So I've had to learn to say, hey, will you help me do this? So instead of having that resistance and that fear about what it's going to look like, and I can do it myself, and I'm strong, and I still have some of that, but instead I shift into gratitude. Hey, thank you so much for helping me. Would you help me do this? I really want to do this, and I think that we can do it. We can figure it out. Here's my ideas. What do you think? Right? And I get to be open and receptive. And just like you said, now I become interdependent instead of pretending and believing that I'm actually independent. And it's a pretend. We're not independent. We're interdependent. And now when we open up and let people help us, we form relationships and connections. And our life is enriched because of that connection and because of that relationship. And we get to be in gratitude instead. And gratitude feels so much better. Because remember, gratitude opens the door to love.
Yeah, into bigger and better things.
And living and loving your life without limits. That's what I say all the time. Living and loving your life without limits.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so funny because one of my clients said to me the other day, and I love that she said that, is she said to me, if not now, when? And, as we all age, and it doesn't matter how old you are, but it's true. It's like, if not now, when are you going to do this, right? Is it 5 years? Well, then 5 years, you're probably going to have more fear because you didn't do it 5 years back. But so, PJ, I want to ask you about this because something popped into my head of, we want this big thing, right? But then the fear's playing over here. And then it popped into my head that you have this middle space of, you start taking baby steps, but then what can happen, I shouldn't say will happen, it can happen, is then you go into breakdown. Like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is too hard. And you start crying and you feel defeated. You feel like it's too much. And so how can someone work through that, breakdown, crying, crazy period? Because it doesn't last. It's just temporary.
It's as if you and I have scripted this conversation. Step number 4 is unwavering persistence, right? So step number 1, take responsibility. Like, who am I? What do I want? What am I doing with my life? Don't blame anybody. Don't be a victim. Choose. That's the step number 1 of successful transformation. Step number 2, remember, is releasing the resistance, right? Step number 3 is embracing possibility. Step number 4 is unwavering persistence. And if you break it down with the first 2 letters, it's up, right? So how do you move up in your life? How do you move forward in your life? Unwavering persistence. Yes, you're going to cry. Yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, it's going to be frustrating. Step away. You're in resistance. Give yourself some time. Calm down. Get back into your power. The only reason that you're crying and in resistance and feeling like it's too much is because you're not empowered anymore, right? And step back, reconnect, realign, get into your power again, whatever that means to you. Sometimes for me, getting in power means meditating and just realigning. Sometimes getting in my power again means running my NLP anchor, and I'll run it 2 or 3 or 4 times. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm focused, I'm strong, I'm energetic, I'm ready to go. Boom, and I go. And I take action immediately. So I teach something called PDA, Power, Decision, Action. Okay? And it's really power, decision, action. Notice that there's power, so I stay in my power, decision, action, really quick together. Because the moment a decision is made through you, because once you're in your power, you say, okay, now what's next? It'll come through you, right? Okay, you can say, okay, what do I want to do next? Sometimes that will trip you up. But if you say, okay, I'm in my power, and you like solidly in your power, it could be your feminine power. Like, okay, now I feel connected again and open and receptive and, like ready to embrace life. Or it could be in my masculine where I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm set. Let's do it. Okay, what's next? What do we do next? What needs to be done next? And then all of a sudden the download will come, and then immediately go, okay, cool, and take action on it. Don't go to the refrigerator and get some food. Don't go get a drink. Don't go brush your teeth. Don't get in the shower. I'll do it later. No, get in action right now. You can get it in motion, and then you can come back to it later if you need to. But you must take action straight away. And this is that unwavering persistence that I'm talking about. Not giving up, keep going, pushing. But you don't have to push. Once you feel that resistance, step back, breathe, realign, and then get back into it. And sometimes the persistence is like, I'm pushing on something that doesn't feel like it's the right thing. It doesn't feel like it's working. Okay, well, let's go back into the cycle. Do I need to take more responsibility? Probably not, because I'm already in it, right? Or am I in victim mode? Like, oh, I can't, life is so hard, I can't do it. Because if that's the case, you're not in your power, so you're not taking responsibility, right? The moment you're in taking responsibility mode, you're re-empowering yourself. Am I in resistance? Is there some kind of resistance? What am I resisting? What's my limitation? What's my belief? How can I release that? Now, how do I embrace the possibility again? Okay, do I need to take smaller steps? Do I need to ask for help? Do I need to come at this from a different angle? Do I need to get some kind of training? Do I need to actually look at an old story that's being played in my head about I can't do it? Okay, and then move forward with that unwavering persistence again. Unwavering persistence is not just about the push. I like to say that life is not always about having the courage or the endurance to push on when things get difficult. It's about letting go of or releasing the things making life difficult. That's part of unwavering persistence. Did that answer it?
I love that. So are there any last steps in this process?
Yes, genuine gratitude. Be grateful that you're on the path. Be grateful that you're moving in that direction. You said a minute ago, it's never too late, right? Which is what you've been saying for years. It's never too late. And one of the beautiful things about that is the first thought that went through my mind was a 96-year-old lady who says, I want to take up whatever it is that she says she wants to take up, right? And she starts that day and she dies the next day. She dies happy. Why? Because she's moving that direction. Whether
Yeah.
we ever get there, sometimes it's just the idea of I'm moving in that direction and I feel darn good that I am and it feels amazing. And if I get there, fantastic. And if I die before that, it's probably a better place anyway.
It's moving along that journey and that path and not standing still, because when we stand still, nothing grows and nothing happens.
Amen, sister. Right? Being stagnant will only breed bacteria and disease. We must
Yes.
be in movement. We must be in flow. And the more we move our body, the younger we stay. The more we move our mind and the more we exercise and train our mind and teach ourselves new things, the more it stays limber and flexible also. The more we do that with our emotions, we get courageous enough to say yes to that date, or courageous enough to say yes and fall in love, right? Or we get courageous enough to say, that doesn't work for me anymore. That's not okay for you to speak to me that way, and start to draw some boundaries. All of a sudden, what we're doing is we're actually exercising and moving our body. I've found lately for myself that if I sit static too long in my wheelchair, if I'm working on a particular project and I'm not like on stage somewhere or out traveling or doing something, that I need to move my body. So I'll literally get out of my wheelchair and I'll just feel like, I just got to do the shimmy, 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 shake, right? So it's shimmy and shimmy, 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 almost like I'm like allowing my body like to shiver, right? Like a full body shiver, and I'll just move it, because what's happening is my body is saying, we need to be in motion. You've been static for too long. And I could do these big exercises and I'm not, very strong, so I'm not going to do them very well. But that doesn't seem to get the whole blood flowing in my system. So get in motion. Anything. I don't care if you turn on music and dance around your house. I don't care if you're like, I'm going to pretend to be a yoga master today and you've never seen or taken yoga in your life. You do these awkward, weird, crazy stretches. Give your body some TLC. Love it, right? Give it some life. Give your brain some life. Allow yourself to study or do something. If you've wanted to learn that language for years and you're like, well, I really want to do it, and you haven't, go on YouTube and go, tutorial for Japanese or Spanish or whatever. Learn a word today. Learn 3 words today and use them as much as you can. The first time I went to Japan, I could speak almost nothing. And I used the one phrase, sumimasen, as much as I could. Sumimasen is this idea of excuse me or forgive me or I'm sorry, if I bump into you or I'm in your way, or I need your attention. And so when I got back on the plane 14 days later and the stewardess said something to me, I don't know what she said, I just looked up and I said, sumimasen? Meaning, I'm sorry, excuse me, what did you say? And she looked at me because she spoke Korean in English, but she didn't speak Japanese. And I was like, I saw her look at me and I was like, why is she looking at me? And then I was like, oh, wait, okay, because I practiced so long that it became natural for me. So learn those 3 words and use them as much as you can that day. So then I had to translate back into English for her. Oh, I'm sorry, what did you, So, yeah, it's just this idea of the more you use it. I use Spanish and Japanese and English interchangeable. And my Japanese is not very good at all. There's almost nothing there. And my Spanish is good enough that I could survive. But I always joke and say I couldn't, get married because I can't flirt in Spanish. But I use what I have as much as I can to keep my flexibility in my mouth, my tongue, but also the flexibility in my brain. It's just fun. It's just fun. I'm always asking how I learn a new language.
Yeah, well, for PJ, what I'm hearing you say also is, to step from where you're at now to transformation is just do one thing that's different and just try. Just try. Don't look 10 steps ahead. So I love this. So PJ, this has been amazing. So how can the ladies find you? I know you have a program that's amazing.
Thank you. I just started a program. It's called Transformation 2020, not for 2020, although it's ironic, but 2020 vision, right? This idea of perfect vision of where do you want to go? Who are you and what's going on in your life? It's a group coaching program because what I found is sometimes people really need and want coaching, but they genuinely can't afford it. So I decided I'll create a group coaching program and give them different levels and layers for them to join. And so it's called transformation2020.pjswisdom.com. transformation2020.pjswisdom.com. And if they need to email me, there's an email link at the top. If they need to text me, there's a text message or text link at the top. So they have access to me that way too. But it's super exciting. I love it. It's so fun.
Well, ladies, if you'd like to find out more about PJ's program, I think he's really shown you today how you can truly transform midlife into your best life. So I highly recommend that you go check that out today. So thanks everybody for joining us on the It's Never Too Late show. Our show is available both in audio and video format, which can be found at yournextamazingstory.com.
Love today's episode of the It's Never Too Late show? Then head on over to yournextamazingstory.com to continue the conversation, get access to show notes, and get more amazing content.